8 here on the program. In 1994, Nelson Mandela became the first president of the democratic South Africa. 5 years later, he stood down. In that time, he and his government wrought the most extraordinary transformation, turning a nation riven by centuries of colonialism and apartheid into a fully functioning democracy in which all South African citizens, black and white, were equal before the law. Now, the book entitled Not Linger, The Presidential Years is the story of Mandela's presidential years, drawing heavily on the memoir he began to write as he prepared to finish his term of office, but was unable to finish. Now, the acclaimed South African writer, Mandla Langa, has completed the task using Mandela's unfinished draft, detailed notes that Mandela made as events were unfolding, and a wealth of previously unseen archival material. The author, Mandla Langa, joins us in studio this morning, together with Verne Harris, who's the Director of Archive and Dialogue at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Thank you, both of you, for your time this morning and for the honour of having this interview, because I know that it's this evening that the official launch will be taking place. So we've got a little bit of a scoop happening here this morning. So talk to me about this experience for you, Mandla. What was it like trying to finish a manuscript of the greatest statesman that ever lived?
Well, first of all, Leanne, thanks for allowing us to share with the rest of South Africa via the public broadcaster the news of the publication and the launch this evening for this book, Not Linger, which is based on Madiba's memoirs. The most daunting task I've ever had as a writer was when I was asked to do this.
Yeah.
But it was also a very exhilarating thing for me because of the esteem with which I hold our late, the father, really, as it were, of the South African nation. And so when it was my task to put it all together, using the archival material, working with the Nelson Mandela Foundation and my publishers, Penn Macmillan, it was, I think, the labor of love, really.
Yeah. When were you approached?
I think Verne will bear this out, but I think the manuscript was first discussed with the Nelson Mandela Foundation and the publishers in March. But I started the work in June of last year.
Of last year?
Yes.
So you worked through this very quickly because, I mean, Verne, if you look at what Mandla's gone through, and I imagine it was with your help as well, because, I mean, you know this so well, but as far as I know, 70,000 words of manuscript, and also, on top of that, studying archive material, I mean, just to fill the gaps. This was a lot of work that went into it.
Well, it's interesting. I realized yesterday, 16th of October, was the 19th anniversary of Madiba's having sat down and started to write the book.
This book?
Yeah. And so it's been a 19-year project for us. I came into it in 2004. Madiba was running out of steam, and we were discussing with him ways of enabling him to finish the project. And then it sat on ice for several years until Mrs. Michelle said she wanted us to find a way of making this happen. And we were looking for someone, and Mandla was that someone who could pull the richest parts of that manuscript of Madiba's and then weave it into a compelling story. And it's about, that book now is about 50% in Madiba's own words,
yes,
and 50% in Mandla's reflections.
Because the first 10 chapters he managed to complete, if I'm not mistaken, Mandela managed to complete 10 chapters of this book.
He did, and then notes towards several others. And the intention originally was to have 19 chapters for the book.
Yeah.
But you know, the process was quite complex. You know, you knew Madiba. He had a very particular way of working. And so we have numerous drafts of single chapters. And working out which of those drafts is closest to the final narrative for him was quite a task for us.
Yeah. Mandla, finding Mandela's voice. because that really was your job. Because at the end of the day, as much as you were here to write this is his memoirs, this is his book, and you're writing a book of somebody that you're not sitting speaking to. You're reading their thoughts in their mind, and they wrote it down on paper, but you had to find that voice. How difficult was it for you?
It was one of the trickier aspects of writing the book, because on the one hand, I mean, I write fiction, so I'm used to using my own imagination to reflect on reality. But here it was where I had to expand, amplify, as it were, and put into context the words of Madiba, which were quite succinct. But here and there was a need to elaborate, there was a need to look into a lot of other material to make sure that there was something that amplified that voice. And so I worked within a strict guideline that I had to make sure that the voice rang clear and true. And I think I did manage to do that. But at the same time, it was also, in dealing with a memoir, you have also to look at the possibilities of extending that memoir. So this was the process I was involved in.
Yeah. That was the book. That's how the book came about. I want to get into a little bit of detail about the book. We're going to take a very quick break. After that, we'll talk about what it is that was going through Mandela's mind, because this book really is all about his presidential years. This was when he came into office, that inauguration. What was he feeling then? What about the myths of Thabo Mbeki really doing all the work and Mandela just being the figurehead? Do you think it's true or not? Well, we're going to find out straight after this break as we delve deeper into this brand new book that's coming out. It should be out in stores tomorrow, I'm hoping. I'll find out from my guests in a short while. It's called Dare to Linger. Stay tuned.